In the book, Hollywood Goes to High School, Bowman says, films teach us who we are as much as they reflect who we are. This point is evident in the elite, suburban, and urban school films. These pieces of media frame a message that teach us a lesson about our society. They do this by reflecting our culture into stories that contain valid ideas about who we are as individuals and as a whole. The elite prep school genre exemplifies the meritocracy myth. The meritocracy is the belief that inequality is fair because everyone has an equal chance to succeed and success is achieved based on individual merit. These films bring to light the issue of social class and individualize the working and middle classes. The films in this genre each portray a working or middle class hero who challenges the ideas and culture that surrounds the morally bankrupt upper class. These movies teach us that we can succeed even when faced with adversity if we believe in our personal integrity and merit. In this scene of School Ties, David walked into his room to find a swastika hanging above his bed with the words, "Go home, Jew," written below it. This scene also shows how David won't let them beat him. He knows he is alone right now and that the world is against him, but he sticks to his personal integrity and merit and refuses to back down. David is a perfect example of how movies have the ability to teach us. We all strive to be like David. We all want to be so confident with who we are that no one can take us down.
The suburban high school genre presents many ideas surrounding the concept of individualism and how it forms us to view our culture. They reflect the struggle to fit in and to teach us that it is more important to be yourself than to be popular. The different perspectives on the barriers teenagers face to find their true selves helps the genre frame their message to the audience that expressive individualism is the most important key to life. The movie Mean Girls is a perfect example of the dominant theme in suburban high school films. The story portrays Katie, the new girl, falling into the culture of popularity and turning herself into someone she is not. Therefore, the moral of the story is showing how expressive individualism is important in one's life. This is clearly evident in the scene when Katie admits to being bad at math just so Aaron would like her.
When I tell you, so...
Tell me what?
I pretended to be bad at math so you'd help me. But the thing is, I'm not really bad at math. I'm actually really good at math. You're kind of bad at math. Anyways, now I'm failing. Isn't that funny?
Wait, you're failing on purpose? That's stupid.
No, not on purpose. Just, I wanted a reason to talk to you.
Why don't you just talk to me?
Well, because I couldn't. Because of Regina. Because you were her property.
This scene shows how Katie was not being her true self just so she could try to get the guy. She became someone she wasn't by hanging out with the plastics. In the end, she becomes her true self and is rewarded with finally getting the boy. The film reflects the idea of conforming to what people like instead of who you really are. Katie falls into the trap of wanting to be cool instead of being herself. This teaches us that expressive individualism is important in life and that you should do what truly makes you happy. Things like popularity and gender roles can make you do things that are not truly who you are. We see Katie triumph in the end when she overpowers the thoughts of others. This piece of media reflects our culture in the aspect that kids are often influenced by their surroundings, which can cause a change in who they really are. It teaches us that it is good to be your own self, and by doing so, you will find happiness. This lesson is very true to our society today and is directed in Mean Girls to show how we can improve ourselves to find happiness.
To furthermore back up Bowman's idea that films teach us who we are as much as they reflect who we are, the urban school genre reflects the inner city schools. In most of these school films, the writer frames a message about a societal problem, a problem involving our culture and current injustice in our educational system. Each individual urban school film has their own unique way of framing a unique message. This frame usually contains a portrayal about inequality and discrimination between students in the school system. As these movies reflect our culture, they teach us lessons that open our eyes on ongoing inequalities in America that many people haven't even considered. For example, the movie Freedom Writers exemplifies a story about a caring teacher named Miss Gruwell who oversees the students for their lack of motivation. Instead of blaming them, she attempts to understand why they are so troublesome. As the movie continues, we start to see that it is not fully the students' fault for their desire to learn. Instead, the frame shifts to see that the educational institution is the foundation for the students' failure. The majority of the teachers seen in the film see the failure as the students' fault. Miss Gruwell, on the other hand, understands that you need to believe in the students for them to become interested in learning. This is perfectly portrayed in the scene when Miss Gruwell attempts to stay with her students for the next couple of years. She respectfully approaches the school board to explain to them the unique relationship she has with her particular group of students. Mr. Gelford, an upperclassman honors teacher, shows little regard for the students.
So that's it?
Well, believe it or not, Miss Gruwell, there are other capable teachers in this school. If you've made the progress you say you have, your students should be ready to move on. They might even gain something from more experienced teachers.
You can't teach them. You don't even like them.
What does that have to do with teaching?
As seen in the clip, we see Mr. Gelford's belief in the students is small. He does not think you have to like the students to teach them. In deeper words, he only cares about teaching the curriculum instead of caring for the students themselves. This reinforces the idea of the typical utilitarian-run school in America. These teachers, excluding Miss Gruwell, think that these kids all have an equal shot at getting an education if they only work hard enough. This idea is far from the truth because, as we see, the students have bigger issues than school to worry about. The film frames a message that shows the meritocracy myth as an unfair way to justify inequality. Due to the active discrimination in these schools, the institution fails to educate these kids. The teacher's mentality and lack of belief results in the students' lack of motivation. These kids have an unfair chance to succeed due to the personal problems and lifestyle out of class. This brings us back to Bowman's idea that films teach us who we are as much as they reflect who we are. In this case, the movie reflects an urban school inequality based off active discrimination and carelessness for students. It is teaching us that there are still education systems in America that are unfair. These kids were not given equal chance to accept social mobility due to their teachers' mentality of how a school is supposed to be run. This is an ongoing problem in America today. Students are not given the same opportunity as others to get a good education, whether it be based on unjust educational system, a home situation, or other living conditions. Children in society are not getting the same shot to receive a fair education. This is a problem that some people do not always consider. We typically justify the reason for our stratification as the meritocracy myth. Freedom Writers does a great job of reflecting the inner city school scene and teaching us how there is still inequality in America. All three genres of the school films perfectly back up Bowman's point that films teach us who we are as much as they reflect who we are. The pieces of media all reflect our culture through the education system. We see this in the movies like School Ties, Mean Girls, and Freedom Writers. They all frame a message that teach us a lesson about who we are as a society and how we can improve. With that being said, this makes us think. Are there flaws that need to be solving in the American culture, or are we just satisfied with the way things are? Either way, one thing is for sure. We must understand all perspectives in order to comprehend who we are as a society.